Will you pray with me? Loving God, you are the giver of all life, the giver of all good gifts, the source of life itself. As we gather today to worship you, use these words, ancient and new, to point us to your great message of love for us, which we have encountered in Jesus Christ, who is love in the flesh. Amen. First, from the Old Testament, a reading from the book of Micah, chapter 6, beginning in verse 6. With what should I approach the Lord and bow down before God on high? Should I come before him with entirely burned offerings, with year-old calves? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with many torrents of oil? Should I give my oldest child for my crime, the fruit of my body for the sin of my spirit? He has told you, human one, what is good and what the Lord requires from you: to do justice, embrace faithful love, and walk humbly with your God. And then from the New Testament, the book of 1 Peter, chapter 4, verse 10. And serve each other according to the gift each person has received as good managers of God's diverse gifts. And then finally from Matthew, chapter 20, beginning in verse 25. But Jesus called them over and said, you know that those who rule the Gentiles show off their authority over them, and their high-ranking officials order them around. But that's not the way it will be with you. Whoever wants to be great among you will be your servant. Whoever wants to be first among you will be your slave, just as the human one did not come to be served, but rather to serve and to give his life to liberate many people. Amen. Some of the most important transformations in my life have not been about me. The most important transformations in my life have been about learning to do something for others. When I became a parent, that was awesome. I am so blessed and thankful to have my kids in my life. They are a gift to me. And also, let me tell you, I did not change diapers because it was fun. I did not stay up all night trying to soothe a crying baby because I enjoyed it. I did not spend hours at the doctor's office because it was a good time. I did it, I do it because I care for my kids, because I want what's best for them. It's the same thing with getting married. Again, I got married because my wife is amazing, and it's an incredible joy to get to be with her, to share every day of my life with a person who is also my best friend. I'm happy about it. And also, marriage is not all doing fun stuff. There's lots of fun in my marriage, and I'm thankful for that, but marriage is primarily a commitment to give yourself for the sake of someone else, to give of yourself for the sake of someone else. And because they are making that same commitment, because you are both seeking to serve the other one and give yourself away for each other, it has the possibility to be profoundly beautiful, even as it is often brilliantly mundane. Marriage is figuring out who's going to do the laundry, and who's going to take the kids to what appointments, and who's going to be responsible for which chores. It's hard conversations and figuring your way forward. It's not getting what you want in the moment all the time because you are trying to figure out a way to care for this other person who has somehow, by grace, become part of you. And so you learn to give away a part of yourself, to let your desires sometimes not win, and so serve your partner in love. It's weird, but sometimes the thing that you do that wasn't your first choice, those things become the things that give you joy. I took over the primary cooking duties in our family years ago, during a season when my wife Kim was a bit stressed out and busy. Kim still cooks. Some of my favorite foods are her old family recipes that I dare not attempt because only she can do it the way her mom and her Grammy did, and I'm sure that the ghost of her Grammy will haunt me if I cook them wrong. But for day-to-day cooking during the week, I'm usually the guy who makes it happen. And honestly, this is a responsibility that I took on so that Kim could have one fewer thing to worry about, so that she could find some relief during a stressful season. But now it's something I look forward to every night. When Kim cooks dinner, I love the food she makes, but I'm always a little bit sad that I'm not getting to do it. It's a marker for me, making dinner is a marker for me that the day is over. Or if we've got an evening meeting or an evening obligation after dinner, it's at least a little bit of a break in the midst of a full schedule. I turn on some music, I pour myself a drink, whether that's a glass of wine or a caffeine-free Diet Coke. I'm a very fancy guy, I love that caffeine-free Diet Coke. And I focus on preparing food for my family. Sometimes they love it, sometimes one or more of them tells me that it's gross and they would prefer I make something else. But the act of slowing down and preparing food, trying to make something that will help my family connect at the end of another long day, It's one of my favorite things to do. It's something I look forward to every day. I drive my family crazy planning meals at the beginning of the week because I'm looking forward to them and I want to get them on the calendar. And they cannot be bothered. Anyway, and it's not just with family life. I find that consistently throughout my life, I have often been changed the most by committing to doing something for others. I've experienced powerful, transformational moments sitting with a friend and being with them for something that was important to them. Sitting in the waiting room while a friend is having surgery and being with their family. I was volunteering with middle school students and high school students when I first began to sense that I might be called to be a pastor. Some of the best conversations I've ever had in my life happened when I was doing something, doing dishes after dinner, stacking chairs after church, taking time to listen when someone else was struggling or lonely or just needed a friend. As a pastor, I hear this from people all the time. It's almost cliche that people from church go on mission trips or participate in service projects or go to help out at a nonprofit or help out at church, and they come back and they say, honestly, we received more than we gave. The experience changed me. I'm so glad I went. I thought I was going to help someone else, but really I'm the one who got something out of it. I'm the one who was changed. Now, of course, we don't want to serve others only for our own sake. We want to make sure that what we're doing actually makes a positive impact. We don't want to be like the people who send unneeded donations to a disaster zone and thereby create a second crisis because after the hurricane, now they have a bunch of junk that people sent them that they don't need and they have to get rid of. So the primary goal of serving others, of course, is to actually improve their lives. And we want to choose forms of service that will actually do that actually make a difference, that are not just about making ourselves feel good, but that actually make a positive impact for the folks who we are serving. But when we do that, when we serve in ways that actually help, we often discover that the service isn't just a help to others. By serving others, we discover that we ourselves also get something from it. My point is that the big moments in life, the things that stick with us and change us, the things that have the power over us that last, those moments are all often about serving others. We can serve others in big ways, feeding the hungry, giving money to important work, helping someone repair their home or make ends meet or find resources that they need. And we can serve others in little, day-to-day ways, being kind, going out of our way to care for someone, sending a thank you note, putting someone else's priorities and needs above ours for only a moment. Often, the service others offer to us goes unnoticed. Just for us to gather today and to worship and package meals as we're doing at our in-person worship service, all sorts of people have had to chip in to work to serve others. Daryl, the custodian who opens the school, and sets up for us, the 20 or so people who participate in setting up for worship each Sunday, the folks who drive our trailer with the stuff that we use for worship each Sunday, the folks, our partners at Rise Against Hunger who are running our meal packaging event after worship is over, the folks on their team who prepare stuff at their warehouse and run the programs around the world that they're part of, the folks at Gainesville Haymarket Rotary Club who help sponsor our meal packaging, the kids at our Vacation Bible School this summer who have donated money to help fund the meals that we're packaging today, who give money to enable our church the people who give money to our church to keep it existing and continuing our work, to gather for worship services and stuff like that. That's just a sampling of the people who are necessary just to make the thing we're going to do today at our in-person worship service, packaging meals. The people who are necessary to do that, to worship and package meals. That's just a sampling of the people who are necessary to make that happen. That's not even counting what's going to happen in just a few moments when people are going to actually package those meals, right? And I'm going to, a big group of folks, everyone who comes to in-person worship, right, is going to participate in serving hungry folks who we'll never even meet. Those of you who donated to our mission fund today in order to support it, you're part of that. None of this is possible without everyone chipping in to serve, right? We're in the middle of this sermon series that we're calling the 5 Steps of Faith. During this series, we're talking about 5 essential spiritual practices that help us grow in faith and respond to God's love, experience that love more deeply and more powerfully. Today, we're talking about service to others as an essential spiritual practice, as one of the key steps for us to take if we want to grow in faith and step more deeply into God's love and grace. The idea here is very simple. As we read in our Old Testament lesson from the prophet Micah, more than just fancy religious rituals. What God desires from us is for us to do justice, love mercy, or love faithful love, and walk humbly with God. Doing justice, standing up for what is right, fighting against hatred and bigotry, working for the common good, tearing down walls of division, and fighting against the forces of oppression and hatred. That is a form of serving others. And it's part of what it means to line our lives up with the love of God. Practicing mercy or faithful love, more than practicing it, loving it, is a form of serving others. Offering forgiveness, giving second chances, helping people get a fresh start, offering compassion and caring presence in times of need. It is through such actions that the world is healed, that we are transformed. In our reading this morning from the Gospels, Jesus says that true greatness looks like service to others. From God's perspective, the person who goes around telling you how great they are, who goes around puffing themselves up while tearing others down, from God's perspective, that person is a fool. You ever hear someone just puff themselves up, tell you that they're the greatest and tear everyone else down? That person is a fool from a biblical perspective. That person is a false prophet. That person has got it all backwards. True greatness is not grabbing all the power and glory for yourself. True greatness is serving others, working for the common good, lifting up the lowly, working to make a difference and leave the world better than you found it. Christians believe that Jesus is God with us, that he is God's love as a human person, that he is God's perfect message to us, the one who reveals to us who God is and who we are meant to be. And Jesus tells us that he came not to be served, but to serve. Not to glorify himself, but to humble himself for the sake of the whole world. I once read a leadership book where the author said, true leaders stack chairs. If you want to be great, take time to sweep the floor. If you want to find your purpose, find someone who's in need and offer to help. From the earliest days of the church, Christians have believed that the best way to experience God is by getting closer to Jesus. When we are close to Jesus, we are close to the power that undergirds the universe, the person who hung the stars in the sky, the God who loved us into existence. And how do we get close to Jesus? By serving. Jesus said that we could find him among the hungry, and the hurting, and the outcast, and the struggling. Jesus said that we could find him among those who are helping others, among those who are performing acts of service, from people participating in big movements for transformational change to people who are stacking chairs, sweeping the floor, making dinner. When we serve, we have an opportunity to be transformed. When we serve others, we have the opportunity to experience something holy. Jesus is among us as one who serves. And when we serve others, we have the opportunity to meet Jesus. If you want to grow in your faith, start by serving someone else. It's a step deeper into the love and grace of God. And it's one that you won't regret. Amen.